What's going on, guys? Zach Sharps of MMOBomb.com here with a Foreign Fridays episode for Bless Online, which is a very highly anticipated Korean MMORPG by Neowiz. Now, in this video, I want to give you guys a brief overview of the game, give you guys my thoughts on the beta that I played, and also let you guys know whether or not to expect this title, maybe when to expect it, and all that good stuff. I first want to start off with the character creation because it's the quickest thing to go through. It's a push and tug style character creation where you can click on a body part, push or pull it, and it will size to how you want it. It will sculpt to how you want it. There are 10 races for you to do this with. There's your typical elves, humans, alongside more unique beast types, and there is presets as well. For those of you wondering, is there presets in the game? Of course there is presets, and there is a good bit of them, and all of them seem to be quite fine, honestly. There's none that are really ugly, and there's none that are really obscure. It's just all sort of standardized if you want to go that route. If you want to go the more custom route, you can do the push-pull, or there is also sliders and other menus too. So there's a lot of great options for you to run through in the character customization, and honestly it is by far what I think should be the standard in 2015. Class selection is pretty fair. It has a Guardian, Berserker, Paladin, Ranger, Assassin, Mage, Warlock, and Mystic. A good selection, nothing we haven't seen before, but that's sort of the theme with Bless Online. But is it good? Is it bad because of that? We'll get into that, of course. Now, with a good selection of classes, you're probably wondering yourself if you are a person who suffers from alt-itis. I somewhat do from time to time, but more than likely you'll see me playing a Ranger or Assassin in most cases. For those of you who do suffer from it, you will have a great introduction tutorial area to go through. And why am I so high on this tutorial area? It's just a tutorial area, but this tutorial area, it allows you to play these classes at mid-range levels, meaning around level 30. And each of the classes within the tutorial area will have a good amount of abilities for you to try out, which gives you a good idea on how the class plays, at least at mid-level ranges, which will prevent you from having to roll a class to try it out for about 30 levels and not like it and waste all that time. You can just check out that class in the tutorial area, and if you like it, you can continue playing it and progress to the end game with it, or you can just dump it and move on to the next class you want to try. It's really, really neat, and I like that style of tutorial area within MMOs. Plus, the tutorial area has a good bit of boss fights, and it's just a good bit of fun, honestly. As far as the graphics and presentation go, you guys probably can already see that the game looks quite good. It's not the best looking game I've ever seen, it's not the worst, and it certainly is complemented by the Unreal 3 engine, which is good and bad because of the fact that the Unreal 3 engine, as you guys know, is outdated with Unreal 4 already out. And so that does cause concern for its lifespan. If it releases over here in North America and or EU within a year or two, it might not be outdated graphically. If it waits until 3 years like Blade and Soul or longer, it's gonna show some age, and that's a huge problem. On the other side of the presentation, the game itself does have fully voice-acted storylines. The storylines themselves, I have no idea what's going on within them because I don't speak or read Korean. However, the voice acting from what I heard was quite good. It had emotion, it had conviction, and the cinematics that were in between quests were quite neat to look at. The game itself, though, because of this story-like presentation, does suffer from a lot of phasing. If you're the type of person who absolutely hates phasing, you will absolutely hate Bless Online, because literally it seems like every couple seconds you're moving through another phase, and even myself who doesn't mind phasing because of the frame rate drop that occurs when it happens, keep in mind it's beta, that could change, it drove me insane because I saw my frame rate go from upwards of 60 to 70 frames per second, downwards to like 2 or 3 while it phases, and then back up. It's really jagged, and they need to fix it and make it a lot more smooth, or get rid of the amount of phasing that this game has. There's just so much of it. Also worth noting with Bless Online's presentation is its soundtrack. Usually I don't mention soundtracks too often unless they're either really good or really bad. Now in this case, Bless Online's soundtrack is amazing. It makes everything that you do just seem so epic, even if it's just killing a few monsters out in the forest or just walking along a path. Everything just feels amazing because of the soundtrack. It works really well with the game, and it complements everything that you do on screen. It comes in at the right moments, like when a rock golem appears that you have to kill, or werewolves attack the town and you gotta kill the werewolves as well as kill the guy who summoned them. It just really complements everything you do really well, and because of that I gotta give them an A+, because I love good gaming soundtracks. And when I'm playing an MMO and it sounds like I'm listening to Two Steps from Hell, you did a pretty damn good job. While we're on sound, how do sound effects fare within Bless Online? Are they a hit or are they a miss? Well, Bless Online actually has good sound effects. They sound meaty, they are with emphasis, and it's very just good. I don't know really how much more to say about that, because when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. When it's average, you can tell it's just average. And Bless Online does a really good job of really trying to make you feel like the absolute boss that you're supposed to be going through the storyline, which is really good to see. And it should be done more in other MMOs, because there's a lot of MMOs out there that when you hit something, it feels like you just swung paper at them. And this is certainly not one of them. Moving on to combat though, enough talk about all this boring character creation, class selection, and all this other stuff. Let's talk about combat. Let's talk about blood on the battlefield. Anyhow, when it comes to combat in Bless Online, you have two choices. You have the default, which is tab targeting, which is what the game is pretty much built around. And then you also have soft targeting, which is something that I feel that they added when they were like, okay, well, this is a trend, so let's just go ahead and throw it in there, because it's not the default option. And as we all know with soft targeting combat in general, it's either going to add to your experience or it's going to be basically useless because it's not precise enough. Bless Online is sort of in the middle. It's precise enough to where you can enjoy the leveling experience with it on, but I don't see serious PvP players using that within PvP. And with Bless Online, there's a lot of PvP features, so there's probably going to be a lot of guilds out there that min-max their styles to best fit the most precise way to play the game, especially because Bless Online has a lot of PvP features within the game. It has RVR, aka Realm vs. Realm. It has more of a structured style PvP system, and it also has what appears to be, from what I saw, leaderboards to possibly even track the best players of each faction, and also just to track the politics of the game overall. So it's really trying to be a more PvP oriented game, which makes me think back to my time with Skyforge, where I was tab targeting in PvP because it was more precise over the soft targeting style within Skyforge that frankly wasn't the best soft targeting I've ever seen. That award would probably have to go to Blade and Soul, because the game was actually built around it. It wasn't just something that was added later because they couldn't just tear everything down and put in a true action style system. And so after playing a Ranger and Assassin, what I really got from the combat system was that it's going to be fun to utilize during questing, but if you want to be a true force in PvP, you're going to have to switch to the traditional controls, which is a little bit sad, but it's something that I expect from a game that just sort of adds in a feature down the road instead of building an entire game around it with it only in mind instead of the other combat system. To touch on questing really quick before we go into my final thoughts and sort of my expectations on when this game may release over in North America and or EU, the questing itself is standard fare, but a little bit more enhanced than other MMOs out there. For example, the Golem example I gave you guys, where I just was going along the storyline and a giant golem appeared with the cinematic and I had to kill it, or the tutorial area that contained multiple boss fights, or the fact that werewolves attacked a town and I had to take out them and their leader. All that stuff is really, really neat. And also there was stuff like sneaking into castles that I had to do in order to get a prisoner. There's a lot of neat little changes with the standard fare questing that we're used to, the XYZ, gather, kill, etc. But it's still not really anything surprising. I didn't see any dynamic events going on. Keep in mind, I only played about 10 levels, so I mean, chances are there might be some later down the line, but it's not something I saw at the beginning. But what I did see was promising because I like bigger boss fights as I level up, because it makes me feel like my character's progressing more. It makes me feel like my character that started out as a little chump is now evolving into the hero or villain that he or she is supposed to be. And so I think the questing overall is good. It's standard fare, like I said, but it's a little bit above that, which is really, really good for an MMO that's not really trying to do anything too different. But what Bless Online does do really well is executing on a higher level than most games do that don't really innovate much, and that's sort of where I want to head into my overall impressions of Bless Online. The game itself is above average. If I were to give it a rating based off my first 10 levels, I would say that it's probably going to end up being, once I'm in endgame, around a 7.5 to an 8. But that's as of right now. The biggest concern I have with Bless Online is how fast it will age and when we'll get it, because from what I've heard across numerous forums, the developers have stated that their success relies on international success, which means to myself that it is going to eventually come over to the North American EU regions, but when is it going to? I didn't really see much about that, and that worries me, because if it ends up taking 3 years like Blade and Soul, it's going to crash and burn, because the thing that Blade and Soul has that this game doesn't is a more innovative combat system that, even though it is soft targeting, it contains a lot more action-packed combo abilities that really make you feel as though they built the game around it, with it in mind and only with it in mind, and not some other system like a tab targeting system as well, which is something that Bless Online has. It has the option of both, and that to me is worrisome, because whenever you do stuff to a game that it wasn't originally built upon, or it originally wasn't something that was put in an early development, you really have the issue of conflicting styles, and also the issue of everything not really being executed to the top notch that it could be if you just focused on one thing. And that's also another issue that I have with Bless Online, is sure, it's executed to a higher level, but does it really do too many things different to enough of a degree where you're going to play it over another MMO? And the answer to that is not really. It's a game that has really high execution, but it's not really a game that has much innovation, and that's either something that I just didn't run across. Maybe there is a revolutionary system within Bless Online that I just didn't dive into and wasn't able to find, because my research basically only equated to more native English websites, because that's all I can read and write. I don't know, but I just was left wanting more, and I don't know whether or not Bless Online, with its features that it has, is going to give me what I want in terms of an MMO that actually has something new, whether it be a combat style, whether it be an art style, whether it be a questing style, whether it be just different styles of PvP. I just want something that's done a little differently, and I didn't see that within Bless Online, even though the rest of the game was done at a very high level. What I leave with you guys is a question that I've been asking myself for a while now, especially when it comes to Blade and Soul, a game that I compared Bless Online to a little bit here and there during this video, just to give you guys a reference to go off of. I want to know, how long do you guys wait until you jump off of a hype train when it comes to these foreign titles? Now, Bless Online isn't actually released just yet. It just finished up its final beta, so it should be releasing soon. But how long are you guys going to wait for this title? Is it like Blade and Soul, where most of you guys, at least from the comments, have jumped off that hype train? Maybe might try it out, but you're not really that excited for it anymore. Or is Bless Online, based off your first impressions of looking at it, is it something that you think will basically fall off in about a year or two? Leave your guys' thoughts down below. I'm curious sort of how you guys gauge certain games, especially when they're foreign titles. And if this is the first time you checked out Bless Online, it's first bit of gameplay that you've seen, leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are regarding. I'm really interested to hear your guys' first impressions, because mine were quite positive despite some of the cons that I placed in this video. And as long as it doesn't take too long to release over here, I'm quite excited for Bless Online, and we'll certainly check it out once it's out here, because what else do I have to lose? It's supposed to be free to play unless they change the payment model when they bring it over here, which is highly unlikely. And as long as the cash shop is good, I probably will get a good bit of enjoyment out of it, even if it takes a little while to get over here. Well, guys, this has been a Foreign Friday episode for Bless Online. Make sure to smack that like button as always. And my name is Zach Sharp, signing out until the next video. I'll catch you guys next time.